silolu lokuta lampolu be manata mani farol be mota potongo ikata tolu be yemanta ndoleta nyina lela ngoy manzata lale be yola lumfolo miye bankota yembe mota koila dimbaya jambele dimbaya marono dimbaya 22nd July revolution sabu nyima nyuli yekendi alelo Gambia 22nd revolution sabu nyima kundi nasi yodia Gambia kudemba Gambia kudemba 22nd July revolution Gambia remember Gambia remember 22nd July revolution is the solution kundi nasi yodia Gambia kudemba 22nd July revolution is the solution kundi nasi yodia Gambia kudemba.
There cannot be peace and security in the absence of justice for all. Indeed, we have peace. There cannot be justice in the presence of hunger and starvation. This basic human right, the July 22nd revolution has realized, and it's top on the agenda. Eat what you grow and grow what you eat. That nation will surely be a healthy nation. Long live President Baba Superstar Jambe. Long live the revolution. Apachaki.
Nasi yodia Gambia kudemba Gambia kudemba 22nd July revolution Gambia remember Gambia remember 22nd July revolution is the solution kundi nasi yodia Gambia kudemba 22nd July revolution is the solution kundi nasi yodia Gambia kudemba.
Good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome to iAfrica Special Edition here at Fole Mutineka rek ñu leena bégee bu baaxa baax di leen wax tatagal di leen wax ne dal leen jamm ci special edition yi li nga xamantene moy iAfrica TV tay na kuy sétane waxtu bi di nga xamantene tay lu special mo ñu ci tek fas ene waxtane li nga xamantene moy July 22nd revolution bi fego ci sama rakka ji nga xamantene moy suma boss c'est suma rek te duma rek bena yoon moy Fatiza. Welcome to the show.
Jerejef Mama, I'm content. Thank you so much. It's indeed an honor to share the platform with you once again. It's always a pleasure to have you by my side. You're the boss. Actually, I have to give that back to you. You're the boss.
It's just a compliment, but thank you.
Yeah, as you said, it's the 25 years anniversary of the July 22nd. As we know, during the APRC, the way it's done, it's usually celebrated with so much fun, so much energy. But during the past 2 years, it's been different, obviously, because the main man himself is not there anymore. But then we'll go into more of what the 22nd July is about, what it entailed, and what happened after and all.
That will be very interesting. And joining us in our studios, we'll be having two guests, one from UK and one from Denmark. But first, we'll go with the studio stories. Fatis will take us through, and then when we are back, we continue our discussion. So don't go away. Stay tuned.
Yeah, today marks 25 years since the military junta under the leadership of Yahya Jammeh overthrew JAWARA'S regime in a coup on 22nd July 1994. The day during the 22 years rule of Jammeh was celebrated each year as a revolution day. However, many Gambians believe that it was the beginning of oppression. Amadou Kante has more on that.
This day marks exactly 25 years since Jammeh-led military junta overthrew the government of Dawda Jawara and then ruled by decree until the first presidential elections in 1996. In 1994, Gambians went into massive jubilation based on the hope that was the change they have been waiting for. The military leadership soon announced its retirement from the army and formed the Alliance for Patriotic Reorientation and Construction APRC party and swept the polls. The APRC government was then re-elected in 2001, 2006 and 2011, but lost to Adama Barrow under the coalition of December 2016. During the 22 years of the APRC government, the Gambia witnessed a remarkable infrastructural developments in the fields of transport and communications, education and health.
In 1995, when we marched, when there was the first parade of the revolution, there were less than 3 schools, madrasas. Today you cannot count them. There were only 5 high schools. Today you cannot count them. But what is more important is you the future of humanity.
The July takeover, for which important relics such as the Banjul Arch and other institutions are named after, replaced the national independence as the most celebrated day under Yahya Jammeh. The Jammeh rule is also remembered for its human rights violations, for which the Barrow government has established a commission of inquiry named the TRRC.
Yeah, that was Amadou Kante on that story regarding the July 22nd celebrations, as he mentioned in the report. As he mentioned in the report, the July 22nd, as we all know, it was a day when all the children, I'll say, were in a haste to go to Banjul and parade before the president. It was, a day known to be so much fun, celebrated with so much energy, but also on the other side, a day, viewed by many as when oppression really started in the Gambia, and when rights were being infringed on, when people had to let go of their freedom. That is actually the opinion of so many other people in the country, which of course is the reason, as he said in the report, why the Commission of Inquiry, the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, was set, to look into the activities of the abuses that actually happened during the former regime of the former president Yahya Jammeh.
That's quite true, Fatis, because so seetee li nga xamante ne moo xew si diggante 22 years bi comme si suba tey ni ñu ko waxee mooy lu fi jot a xew bari na ñeneen yi dina baax si ñoom ñeneen yi dina bon si ñoom but li jot a xew si 22 years si Yaya Jammeh yi ci biir réew mi bari na trop loo xamante ne comme nuñ ko dee waxee doo xëy suba rek génnee Yaya Jammeh si history Gambia because lu bari xew na fi si diggante boobu te am na xew-xew yu bànneex am na xew-xew naxaar si ñeneen yi nit te ñeneen yi bànneex buñ ci am mooy am nañ si liggéey am na ñoo xamante ne si lañ jaaree tekki am na ñoo xamante ne si lañ jaaree am li nga xamante ne moom lañ am na ñoo xamante ne si lañ jaaree ba tey ñu leen a tudda suñ leen tuddee si réew mi ñoo xam ne amoon nañ ay nomba tànka si réew mi bon am na ñoo xamante ne suñ ko tuddee naxar la leen di fàttali suñ ko tuddee li nga xamante ne moom lañ jaar ak moom fuñ foog ne loolu lañ jaar ak moom du nekk li nga xamante ne mooy xelaati bànneex comme ni ñu ko waxee comme tey ñu gisee si li nga xamante ne mooy TRRC bi li nga xamante ne mooy Dayda Haidara bi xam nga waa famille Dayda Haidara moom duñ célébrer li nga xamante ne mooy July 22nd ak ñeneen moo tax ma ne la ne in two folds laa ñëwee ñii dina ñëw ak ñoom bànneex ñii dina ñëw ak ñoom naxaar.
waaw wax dëgg in the same vein, we have guests in the studio online, that we'll be talking to, that will also give us, an overview of the July 22nd, the celebrations, and of course the years after the celebration. We have Lymam Tamba in UK, the APRC PRO in the diaspora. There's also Sundiata Keita, a militant of the APRC who is currently in Copenhagen, Denmark. I say it as he said it, Copenhagen.
Welcome, gentlemen, to our studios.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, I think Lami is on our screens right now. Welcome, Lamin.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, iAfrica TV, and all the viewers, the audience tuning in. Good evening. I hope we'll have a very good evening looking at Gambia, looking backwards to 1994, July 22nd, 1994. Thank you very much. I'll be talking about APRC's advancement in terms of taking the country from one level to the other. And if people feel okay to ask questions, fire them over. I'll be more than happy to share my experience or what I know about.
Don't worry about it. It's sure going to be a very tough one. You don't worry about that at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Tamba, mun nga ñëw wax rek soo déggee li nga xamante ne mooy 1994 July 22nd la la sa xel dee daal soo déggee loolu noonu.
Right. July 22nd. Can you hear me?
Yes. Loud and clear.
Right. To me, July 22nd is it represents a massive change. Forget who came in, who was the president, who wasn't the president. Growing up as a kid, I think I was in Form 3 high school, if I remember very well. And I think it was the last day of the year. And I went into the principal's office to collect my presents following the exams. And the principal told me what had happened that morning. And I think I went to the principal's office around about 11 or 12 noon. So he told me that there was an overthrow of the PPP government. As a kid, I was not the best informed kid, but I was a very well informed kid. I was involved in school debates, in topics surrounding governance, in topics surrounding development, in topics surrounding the books we read. So when the government changed, it didn't mean much to me at the time. As always, I was more interested in the presents that were in my hands than government changing. And then I went home, and then I started listening to the radio, a replay of somebody who's introduced himself as Yaya AJJ Jammeh, the chairman of the Provisional Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council, and why they came in, why they had to kick PPP out. As a kid, as I listened to the first speech from the chairman and Radio Gambia translations, I was inspired, I have to be honest. I didn't know who Yaya Jammeh was. I didn't know what the shift of government was, because at the time Jawara was there. We thought everything was perfect. Jawara was perfect. He wasn't bad. If he left, who was going to run the country? Oh, hell. We can't have a Gambia without Jawara, we all thought. And then suddenly, young boys in their late 20s removed Jawara, the maestro, and then they started talking what people wanted to hear. And then they started backing up their words. And then it didn't make sense until the following year when I thought, hang on, something seems to be going right, because I started traveling around to combos and different places, going to Fonyi, where I come from originally. So for me, the shift wasn't significant as a kid. But from that moment on, looking back, what a significant shift our country took, mostly for the better. Mistakes were made. There's no president who came to office and left and didn't make mistakes. But today, APRC's legacy, AFPRC, which gave birth to APRC, the legacy is there, it's tangible. You cannot hide what the APRC done for the majority, 1.8 million Gambians. About 99.9% of them have benefited and are still benefiting from the event of July 22nd,
Mr. Tamba, you mentioned mistakes. If you're talking about mistakes, can you be specific at least, to tell us what mistakes you're actually referring to?
Well, I'll come to those. First and foremost, overthrowing a democratically elected government was not right in the first place. So that's mistake number one. When they came into government, rightly or wrongly, they thwarted an 11/11 supposed overthrow. Well, it's not supposed now, because the people who plotted and wanted to execute that overthrow confirmed that they actually wanted to kick the young soldiers out of State House. So they could have handled that better. And then 1995, the death of Koro Sise, I think could have been handled better. We don't know what the nitty-gritty, the full details of these things are. We just hear people saying one thing, and we hear the counterclaims. But then, 1990, soldiers promised 2 years transit. Well, first they said 4 years, and then they reduced it to 2. And then Yaya Jammeh stripped and contested and won the election. In my view, they should have continued for 4 years, weed out all the corrupt PPP heads, realign the country for development, and then gone back to the barracks. That would have been good. But then what they did in 2 years was so significant, so powerful. People didn't see this. Remember, Gambia's recorded history at the time was 432 years of governance. And the government before the young soldiers came, for 32 years, built no school, no hospital. The government was run for a few privileged kids, all the poor people. There was disease everywhere. Some of these diseases are history now because the APRC government eradicated them. So there's some things that happen, extrajudicial killings. Even if somebody was going to overthrow the government, but you arrested them, take them to court. However, we don't know what the circumstances are. According to the number 2 in the military junta, he said the attack was on and they had to go and deal with it. So one side says one thing, the other side says one thing. It's one man's word against another man's word. So those things, I think, could have been handled better, but who knows who's telling the truth. Going from that morphed into an APRC government, and what happened next is history. And you girls there sitting in that panel should be proud of what the APRC done for women empowerment, especially. Women cannot complain about what APRC done. Obviously, if your family is affected, if you were personally affected, yes, I can understand that. Like I said to you, I'm not going to go into individual cases because I don't know what actually happened. The government says one thing,
all right.
Somebody says one thing, and the other side says another thing.
All right.
So who knows?
Mr.
Maybe
Keita,
these people who were actually wronged or not wronged were involved in something that you and I don't know. But I think with any given situation, you learn from the experiences, you get better.
Okay,
so the APRC did get better.
Okay, that takes me to Mr. Keita, Mr. Sundiata Keita. You are a prominent supporter of the APRC. Can you please tell us, of all the parties, of all the party leaders, what made you, go after APRC, even after, let me quote from Lymam Tamba's, the series of atrocities he's mentioned, of all the parties, why did you choose the APRC,
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. Come again. You said your question was what? You are far away.
Yeah, I was saying you're a prominent supporter of the APRC. I wanted to know, as a young Gambian, why didn't you choose from all the other parties? Noting into consideration some of the accusations that have been made on the, former regime's leader Yaya Jammeh, and of course on APRC. Why did you actually choose APRC and not another party?
Okay, my affiliate, assalamu alaikum to everybody out there, and also thanks to iAfrica for having me. I'm very, very honored to be on this great program, and thank you for the good job that you guys are doing. Very, very proud of you people. So thank you for having me on this great program.
Thank you.
Now, first of all, my affiliation with the APRC came later on in my life. My love came for Yaya Jammeh in the first place. As most people knew, I was born in Denmark. So, but I have been traveling back and forward to the Gambia ever since 1992, and I was even sent back by my parents to join this to go to the Serekunda Primary School for some years and live with my father in the Gambia. That was in 1998, or was it 1999? And that was the time that I don't know. Do you get me loud and clearly?
Yeah, we're getting you.
Okay. Yes. So when I came to the Gambia in 1998. And I was the first time I visited the Gambia in 1992. I was 6 years old, so I was very young. But I remember some things. But from that time, and when I came back in 1998, it's from there that my father he explained me what has happened in the Gambia. You have to understand that I was a young guy, like 11 years, 12 years old at that time. So my father he was explaining me. I say, who is this guy on the picture? Then you would see Yaya Jammeh on billboards everywhere. So my father, he would explain me, who is Yaya Jammeh, and this is a young soldier who came, he was 29 years old, and because the Gambia was in mess, it was corruption, and the people have been there for many, many years and decades, and they have not done anything for the people. So my father, he explained me, so these people, they come from the army, they explained me that this is where my love come from. So ever since I've been a little boy, my father, he have printed the love for Yaya Jammeh in my heart. So that was, but I was a very young age at that time.
Okay.
So when I came to my later years, I became a teenager, and I started to engage in politics.
Okay.
And, it's from there that when I saw that I could realize that the differences that has been made since from the first time in '92 until '98. And even afterwards, I keep traveling back to Gambia every year. I saw development every time. Every time I saw new developments. The infrastructure, the healthcare. I remember the first time when I was in Gambia in 1992, we had family members who would die from malaria. You understand? Even to be treated for malaria was a big problem. Nowadays, you go to our healthcare, you get a blood test, you will get fixed in probably in 2-3 days. We had education system that rise up to the level. Before, when you came to the Gambia, I think 30 years ago, if you go and look at the statistics, about where the people cannot read and write, and analphabetics. It was a big problem in Gambia until 1994. We started to have schools. We started. He built an education. And what's most importantly is that he sent the Gambians abroad for education abroad. And most importantly, it was not for one tribe only. What came in 1994, and that why we celebrate 1994, and why I respect 1994 as a day of celebration in our hearts and in our homes, is the change that came with 1994. Because like Lymam Tamba was in on some of the points, and most of the people out there, they know me already. They have seen my work on online Facebook, so you can see that most of them what I'm promoting there is women have been promoted on the highest level. Women has been respected. They have been uplifted, and we